Let me guess. You make good money, but you still feel financially squeezed. You're even earning more money than you were just 5 years ago. That's not an income problem, that's a cost structure problem. And today, we're breaking down what life actually costs to live here in Lincoln, California, and comparing that to Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and New York City. And if you live in one of those places right now, you might not like the comparison. But before we go any further, let's do a quick reality check. If you're paying $4,000 a month for rent in New York City, or $1.25–1.5 million for a 1,400 square foot home in San Francisco or Los Angeles, well, then this video may hit differently. So let's get into it. If we haven't met yet, I'm Reese, real estate broker here in Greater Sacramento, and I've lived here my entire life, and I help buyers relocate here strategically, not emotionally. This video is about clarity, real numbers, real trade-offs, and real strategy. Now, at any point during this video, if you're feeling like, okay, what does this look like for me? All my contact information is down in the description. You'll find my calendar link. You can book some time on my calendar. No pressure, just a real low-key conversation to help you figure out if maybe Northern California, Lincoln, or Rockland, or anywhere nearby is maybe the next move for you. Now, here's the mindset shift. Cost of living is not about what you pay. It's about what you get for what you pay for. And the biggest piece of that equation is definitely housing. Now, median home prices in Lincoln, sits roughly around the mid 600s. Now, entry-level homes, these are in the, kind of the low 5 to mid 500s. Now, move-up homes, those are 650s to 800s. And then they do have some luxury properties, some higher-end properties, and those are in the 900s plus. So for instance, my Bay Area viewers out there, what you're paying for roughly a 1,200 to maybe a 1,400 square foot home. Well, here in Lincoln and many of the areas, surrounding it, Northern California, you can have a 2,500 plus square foot brand new home. And probably for half the price. It's not hype, it's just math. Twice the home, half the price. Now for my New York City viewers, if you're paying like, 4,000 plus for a 750 to 1,000 square feet apartment, can you imagine attaching that payment to home ownership instead? And we're not just talking a little bigger. We're talking 2 to 3 times the size with all the new bells and whistles and all the amenities, just a much better condition and quality of housing. Let that sink in for a minute. Because most Lincoln homes are newer construction. We're talking like grand high ceilings, energy efficiency, modern open layouts. And because everything's so much newer, the maintenance is just phenomenally lower. Compare that to the older homes in the Bay Area and Southern California, LA, New York City. The older homes, they do have charm, but charm comes with pretty high invoices. Now, if you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, Lincoln is not LA. Correct, that's the point. Now let's talk ownership costs because, buying is one thing, but owning is another. So let's talk taxes and fixed costs. In California, for those of you in the Bay and Southern California know this, but for my folks out there in New York City, California property taxes are based at 1%, plus, the local municipal bond. So plan for about 1.125% in property taxes, 1.125% of the purchase price. Now, some neighborhoods, the tax bill will also include Melrose, which will raise that tax bill a little bit, but those pay for schools and infrastructure and neighborhood improvements, and they actually phase out eventually over time. Now compare those tax rates with like New York City, where your property tax rates are like 1.6% plus. Take a look at Texas and you're at 2%. And California has Proposition 13. So while your property values grow, the annual increase in taxes are capped. And that's really important because predictability matters. And, long-term planning, it's important. Prop 13 is what allows you to buy a home and then live in it forever. And 30, 40, 50 years from now, when that property value is increased 3, 4, 5-fold, your tax rates are still very low. Now let's talk utilities. Let's say about a 2,500 square foot home in Lincoln. Average utility bills will be somewhere around $300 to $450, depending on usage and how much solar you have. Now, as you're probably aware, California has a lot of sunshine. And Northern California, Lincoln, the summers get pretty hot. There's a couple of weeks in the summer where temps are 100 plus, 110 plus, and there's no pretending otherwise. But on the contrary, our winters are quite mild. There's going to be no snow shoveling, and your heating bill's not going to spike in the wintertime. All right, now let's slide over to insurance and commute. Now, insurance in Lincoln is generally much more stable than, like, say, in Southern California, where the wildfires have impacted the cost and availability. But what about gas? Well, yes, gas is expensive. We do have California pricing on gas, but the commutes are pretty short. From Lincoln into downtown Sacramento, 30, 40 minutes max during traffic. Now let's compare that to like LA's commute time, and we're talking 75 to 90 minutes for a quick drive. And what about Bay Area bridge traffic? Or the cost of New York City transit and parking just kind of stacking up monthly? As we all know, time is money. Plus, lower daily friction and stress has real value. Now let me say something directly to you Bay Area viewers. The biggest mistake that Bay Area buyers make when they move here to Lincoln is overcorrecting. I'll explain that in a minute, but first, let's get to daily life. Now, groceries are a big part of daily living. And in Lincoln, they're very comparable and in line with greater Sacramento. So like a family of 4, let's say, your grocery bill is going to run about $800 to $1,100 a month, depending on your habits. Now, that's not Midwest pricing, I will acknowledge that, but it's also not Manhattan markup either. Now, dining out, you're not going to accidentally spend $300 just because you had a cocktail and valet parking happened. A nice dinner, manageable. Parking, free. The details matter. Now, a lot of our other clients relocate here to Lincoln and Northern California because of the schools. In Lincoln, it's known for very strong public schools. And I know in New York City and the Bay and Southern California, a lot of families feel pushed towards private schools. And at the cost of, say, $15,000 to $30,000 per year per child, that stacks up. Public schools, they're free. And that can change everything. Many Lincoln families confidently choose public schools. Their children get an amazing education at zero cost. And that shifts the cost equation dramatically. Now let's talk about access and space. You're about an hour from Lake Tahoe, just under 2 hours to Napa, and just 1.5 to 2 hours to San Francisco. Suburban space without isolation. The space changes behavior. 2,000 to 3,000 square foot homes are very common here. Home office, guest bedroom, nice big backyard, 2, 3 car garages. And all of that, it really reduces your outside spending. More hosting at home and less escape spending. All right, now let's close that loop. The biggest mistake that Bay Area buyers make when they move here to Lincoln, California, they assume cheaper means compromise. And so they overcorrect. They'll often buy the biggest house possible just because they can, rather than buying strategically. They don't consider resale positioning, and they don't think about long-term equity growth. Bigger isn't always better. Better positioned is better. And that's where strategy matters. Now, if you're mentally doing the math right now, well, that's when most people actually start to reach out. Not because they're moving tomorrow, but because they want clarity. All my contact info is in the description below. Give me a call, shoot me a message, book some time on my calendar. Let's see if we can map that out for you. And if you haven't already, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any future videos and comparisons just like this one. All right, let's kind of recap and compare. If we're to strip away the ego and eliminate that that skyline attachment and that big city pull, we can compare Northern California and Lincoln to like LA, for instance. Super high housing costs, ridiculous traffic, and really hard to get high cost raising insurance. In the Bay Area, extremely high entry-level pricing to get into a home. And there's also super heavy competition. And let's not forget those crazy long commutes. And NYC, well, super high rent and purchase prices for very little space and square footage. You also have really high local taxes and literally no space. Now let's compare all that to Lincoln. Much lower entry points, newer and modern homes, predictable and low property taxes, a ton more space, and of course, access to that Northern California lifestyle. Is it perfect? No. I mean, summers are hot, right? And it is suburban. But if your goal is, balance and alignment between income and stress and, long-term growth and lifestyle, well, Lincoln punches like a heavyweight. Moving or relocating, it's not about geography. It's about alignment. So here's the real question. Are you paying for a skyline or building your future? If Lincoln or anywhere in Northern California even feels slightly aligned with what you want, let's talk. If you just need clarity, look, I'll give it to you straight. Doesn't matter if it's 9 days or 9 months from now, it's never too soon to reach out. Phone number, email, and my calendar link is all down there in the description. Book some time and we'll have a real casual conversation and figure out if Lincoln or Northern California is right for you. If you're ready to stop scrolling and start dreaming, let's make it happen. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. That's a wrap.